Next up, we have Wildcat Resources Limited. The ASX code is WC8. It has a market cap of 270 million. And today we welcome Samuel Ekins, Managing Director. Wildcat is focused on unlocking value by way of discovery, targeting world-class provinces across Australia, with its recent focus on an exciting new lithium discovery. Samuel, please take it away.
Thank you very much, Manny. Yes, can you please just pop forward 2 slides? Yeah, there we go. Thank you. Yeah, so Wildcat's a Western Australian-based exploration company. We've got assets in New South Wales, where we have nearly a 1 million ounce gold deposit. We have the Bolt Cutter project in Port Hedland, just south of Port Hedland, and we recently entered on the 17th of May this year a binding agreement to acquire the Tabba Tabba tantalum lithium project. That's been a transformational acquisition for Wildcat. So currently we have on issue about 665 million shares. Once the deal is completed, we will have just over 1 billion shares on issue, capitalising the company at current prices at around $422 million. We've got, as of today, about $9 million in the bank, 7 million of which is in trust, and that was raised at 3.5 cents the day we announced the discovery. Those funds will become available to us at completion of the deal, which is only awaiting Foreign Investment Board approval, and that should be finalised imminently. So we'll have access to that funding very soon. Yeah, so can you please move on to the next slide? So just a bit of an overview of the company. Our board of directors, our chairman is Jeff Elliott. He's the former managing director and founder of CSA Global, which is one of the probably most well-regarded geological consulting firms in the world. I'm a geologist. I've got about 17 years experience, mostly technical based. I've been in the role with Wildcat for 2.5 years and MD for the last year. So I have to say it's an absolute privilege to be part of this journey as my first executive role. We've got Matt Banks and Alex Hewlett. Matt and Alex recapitalised a company called Spectrum Rare Earths a few years ago. That became Spectrum Metals and made the Penny West North discovery, which was sold to Ramelius Resources for around $400 million. They also founded Red Dirt Metals, which Alex acquired the Mount Ida lithium project and the Unithara lithium project for, and then subsequently became Red Dirt Delta Lithium. And then Matt is a founding director of Rumble Resources, who have made a significant discovery in the Errahidi Basin in Central Australia of a giant base metal deposit. So a very strong track record of success for Matt and Alex. And then 2 weeks ago, we brought AJ onto the board. AJ is a very well-respected mining engineer. He's currently redeveloping the Lanfranchi nickel mine down near Kambalda. He was a founding director and a founder of Salt Lake Mining, who sold the Beta Hunt mine, the mine that made that Father's Day gold discovery a couple of years ago to Karora Minerals. He has several other board roles, and he was also the past mine manager of the giant Grasberg mine in Irian-Jaya. So he's an amazing addition to the team, and he will help us spearhead towards production as we develop the Tabba Tabba asset. Next slide, please. So that photo, one back. There we go. Just quickly, that photo there is the Tabba Tabba pit. So Tabba Tabba was briefly mined in 2014. The focus was purely tantalum. I suppose the key thing with this image here is that the Tabba Tabba pegmatite at that location there is very large. They only took one bench out, and they only mined it for 3 months. They had to stop due to issues with their commissioning the tantalum recovery circuit. But the key here is that it's that pegmatite body there is very big. And that's only one of what was mapped originally in the 1980s as 38 large outcropping pegmatites on the project. And I'll give you a bit more about that in a second. So next slide. So in terms of location, the project's located where the blue dot is, approximately the middle of that map on the right. It's only 80 kilometres by road to the port of Port Hedland. That's via the Great Northern Highway and the Marble Bar Road, both quality sealed highways. and then access to those via the Wallarina Station Road, which is a quality dirt road over which we've got a miscellaneous haul road licence. So we've got clear access permitted all the way to port. It's only 47 kilometres by road to the processing facility at Pilgangoora, now one of the largest, if not the largest, lithium deposit in the world, and only 87 kilometres by road to the Wodgina processing facility. The project is surrounded by our tenements, or all the tenements you can see in blue. The light blue and dark blue are 100% owned Wildcat tenements. The dark blue are granted, the light blue are applications. And then the grey tenements are tenements which are subject to a ballot. And that's literally goes to the warden and they put their hand in if two companies or more applied for the tenement on the same day, they literally put their hand into a ballot, and you get lucky as you get a chance you'll get the tenement or not. So we've got a commanding land position surrounding Tabba Tabba. Our neighbours to the southwest are De Grey, to the northeast is FMG, and surrounding that is Sayona Mining. Next slide, please. So this is a zoom in on the pegmatite field. What you can see in blue are all the outcropping pegmatites that are known. Outcropping near surface, when we drill these, within 2 metres, we're in fresh rock. So this is a very, very favourable thing for us to have. The Tabba Tabba pegmatite is located pretty much in the centre, and that has all the little grey dots, triangles on it. That's where that photo that I showed previously came from. That contains the Tabba Tabba tantalum resource, 660,000 pounds tantalum at 950 ppm tantalum. That's about, by a factor of 3, the highest grade tantalum mine in the world. We've commenced drilling in that northern area. We've recently returned assay results from that area, and they all came back very favourably. Average thickness in that northern area is around 25 to 30 metres. Grades sort of averaging around 1.1 grams per tonne for the lithium. In the southern area, we got very excited. We commenced drilling down there after we had a bit of drilling up in the northern area. That area, that sort of zone that has been highlighted in light blue, is one continuous pegmatite body. We're calling that the layer pegmatite. When we first went out there, we had initially planned to drill the holes from east to west. The geologists on site did a lot of mapping, and then they identified magmatic layering in the pegmatite, and it really genuinely did look like it was dipping to the west. So we turned the rigs around and began drilling from west to east. We intercepted a couple of thick pegmatites, but then we hit a pegmatite that went for 215 metres, and then we thought, well, that is a bit very, very, very thick. So we turned the rig around, and then lo and behold, we had been drilling down the pegmatite. However, it's still extremely thick. The first follow-up hole intercepted a true width of pegmatite that is 53 metres wide. The next hole along intercepted 135 metres true width of pegmatite. That's only pegmatite. It's not mineralised. We don't know at this stage. We haven't received the assay results, but it's certainly showing that the thing is very, very wide. It's 1.2 kilometres long at this stage. It's open to the north. We've drilled it to a max depth of 300 metres below surface, so it is a gigantic pegmatite body, that central pegmatite in the middle area there that we're calling layer, and that has had the majority of the drilling in that central area. We haven't really tested that one further to the south, and the other one to the east of the central pegmatite area has only had a couple of holes in it, and the area to the west of the central pegmatite is all undercover, so there's a huge amount of opportunity for further growth. Next slide, please. So that is a section through TARC 089, which we announced, that had a true width intercept of 53 metres, but downhole intercept of over 218 metres, with a high-grade zone of 51 metres at 1.5% lithium at the bottom, down the bottom end of the hole. You can see that it's pretty thick and consistent, and importantly, there's not just one pegmatite there. There are multiple stacked pegmatites. We're getting a sort of a close to 10-metre true intercept on the eastern side of the image, then about a 30-metre wide true intercept in hole 119, then the main big pegmatite body, which is around 53 metres, and then another zone that's about 16 metres to the bottom. So there's multiple pegmatites, and very, very exciting. Next slide, please. That's just another one, 160 metres to the north of that previous image. The exciting part here is that we've got really thick intercepts, 135 metres true width, 68 metres true width, and 48 metres true width in the pegmatite intervals that we've intercepted so far. We don't expect all of that to be mineralised, of course. We are awaiting results, but it may be mineralised. So we'll look forward to those results. And as you can see in the hole TARC 023 that goes down it, there's some fantastic intercepts in there. Next slide, please. And just in terms of mineralogy, so the slide on the right shows a beautiful, vibrant salmon orange colour. That we suspect strongly to be spodumene. We're seeing that throughout a lot of the holes, most of them, in fact. That is, if you Google spodumene fluorescence under black light, you will see that it kind of looks like that. We need to verify that via quantitative XRD analysis, but we are pretty excited about the fact that it's looking like it is spodumene dominant at this stage. And it's a nice white sort of coloured spodumene. It's not dark grey, as you can see in the natural light there, and it's not dark green, which would suggest that it would be relatively low iron, which is a favourable attribute. The diagram just on the left there with the photo of Manitoba and Tabba Tabba. That Tabba Tabba photo just came from down the very south end of the prospect. I'm just comparing it to Manitoba there, where there's a nice fresh outcrop that with a verified spodumene. There's a compass for scale on that image and a hammer, and they do look certainly very similar. So we're very excited about that. Next slide, please. That's just a photo from the camp. We've got a 30-person camp now that can be expanded out to 52 people. It's fully catered, so that enables our guys to be right on site, and it gives us an extra 2 hours of drilling every day, so there's not commuting back and forth to Port Hedland. But this image is just from the camp looking to the east, and this is about 3 weeks into the drilling. The take home here is it's nice and flat with some slightly shallow hills, but that's pretty reflective of the topography in the area, which is again a favourable attribute for mining. Next slide, please. Slide. And this is just a summary really of what our greenfields opportunities look like. Tabba Tabba is where that green dot is, and the right in the middle of the image there. Those big pink bodies are the split rock super sweet granites. They're considered to be the source rocks for the pegmatites in the district. If you're proximal to one of those granites, say within 10 kilometres, and you're proximal to some of the major structures that they're shown in grey, then you can be considered to be in prospective terrain to form LCT mineralised systems. There's a tenement of ours called E45 5623 on the west side that abuts one of those granites. That is a very exciting prospect. It's very considered to be very prospective for lithium. It's all undercover. So we'll be looking forward to doing an air core program on that in the new year. If you head over to the sort of centre of the image and then go down just to the north of Pilgangoora, there's a tenement called E45 6155 that was recently granted. It's 100% owned by Wildcat. It's about 25 square kilometres. It's only 10 kilometres long trend from Pilgangoora. There are tantalum workings on that tenement and outcropping pegmatite. So again, a very exciting tenement for us to begin work on in the new year once we complete some heritage survey work on it. Bolt Cutter East, that's the tenement just to the north of that. Again, we've done about 2,000 soil samples on that, and we have a big lithium soil anomaly on there. So yeah, some fantastic greenfields targets, and then Tabba Tabba sitting there in the middle. Now, I probably didn't reiterate before, Tabba Tabba is located on mining leases, so it's granted mining leases, puts us about 2 years ahead of anybody else making a discovery now in terms of our pathway through to production. Next slide, please. So, the value drivers for the company. Look, we've got a significant land position in what is arguably Australia's #1 lithium province. Pilgangoora and Wodgina currently produce about 20% of global lithium supply. So we are in an area that is world-class lithium district. The exploration upside at Tabba Tabba is absolutely amazing. It's a huge system. It's over 3.2 kilometres long. It's outcropping and very exciting. It was a part of just going back to the original history of it. In 2007, Global Advanced Metals acquired from Sons of Gwalia Greenbushes, Greenbushes, Wodgina, Pilgangoora, and Tabba Tabba. So it is part of a cohort of fantastic deposits. Those first three are known to be gigantic lithium deposits. They started their lives as tantalum projects, just like Tabba Tabba. And as we're demonstrating, Tabba Tabba is certainly showing us that it's got the same potential as those three other world-class deposits. It's hosted on mining leases. We currently have 2 rigs drilling. We've been drilling since the 7th of July. We're bringing a diamond rig on in 2 weeks' time to commence network and metallurgical testing. we've got 2,000 holes approved going forward, so we're going at it as hard as we can. It's fully cleared for heritage, and then lastly, regionally, the tenure has great prospectivity for greenfields lithium discoveries. And next slide. That's all. Thank you very much.
Samuel, thanks for that. Congratulations. That's looks like a wonderful discovery. Certainly a material discovery, and we look forward to seeing how it grows from here. We do have a couple of questions that have come through. Starting with the first one, can easily be summarised as, how does the Tabba Tabba system, and you've talked a little bit about this in the presentation already, but the question is, how does it compare to some of the other major lithium discoveries in the region and WA, and how does it, and tell us a little bit about the tenements surrounding you as well, and whether there are any opportunities there.
Okay. Look, from a scale perspective, if you were to measure the outcrop, and that's really all we've got to go on at the moment. When we're demonstrating that the system's certainly thick, we're sort of starting to show that the third dimension has got some serious scale to it, and that we've identified that one big central pegmatite so far goes down to at least 300 meters. But if you were just to compare the outcrop map of Tabba Tabba with say Wodgina, it's comparable in size from an outcrop perspective. It's a little bit smaller than Pilgangoora, but not much smaller. So it's certainly got huge scale potential. I'd say when you compare it to other deposits, it's certainly looking like it could easily become a world-class deposit. It's certainly got the room for that. In terms of our neighbours' tenure, to our immediate north, FMG have identified a lithium resource. It is, we don't know how big that is because FMG, a big company, they don't have to disclose that. But they've done a lot of drilling to the immediate north, and you can see that in aerial photographs. And so we speculate that it's reasonably large. So, and that's right along trend. It's all part of the same system. So yeah, the neighbours certainly have a lot of potential.
Okay, thank you. There's a couple of questions that have come through on this particular point, and it's around FIRB approval.
Yes.
The question is, what is the status of FIRB approvals right now? When can we expect to see some news on that? I know you touched on that in the presentation, but what is the status currently? And can delays with the FIRB approvals impact your current plans, and can they in fact impact the status of the mining lease at this stage? Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, so FIRB has indicated that they've ticked everything off. So it's been, we were expecting it to be finalised on the 4th of September. They then indicated they wanted to have a 3-week cooling off period to allow them to basically have a period of natural justice. It's gone to all the FIRB partners, the ATO and everyone like that, and they've all indicated that it's finalised. But now they're just letting it sit on a desk, presumably for this natural justice process. And once that's completed, then we're expecting it to be delivered. They have indicated they wanted another week for that process to occur. So we're hoping that it will happen imminently. It is a government tick-off. We have no control over that. In terms of impacting the mining licenses, we don't expect that there's any impact whatsoever. It is just a formality. The deal has been finalised. The only thing it's waiting for is effectively the FIRB. So we're not worried about that. Okay.
And one last question. What interest or what discussions, if any, have any potential partners or off-takers expressed at this point? Are you in discussion? Are you in initial discussions? Has there been a level of interest shown in what's been achieved so far by Wildcat, by any of these potential parties?
Look, there's certainly going to be interest in it. We haven't had any specific interest in it. At this stage, we're very fortunate. We don't have any major company on our books. We're probably one of the only developers that has got a pretty clean share registry, and it's pretty much entirely retail investors. So we're quite lucky in that respect, and we're not locked into a corner. At this stage, we don't want to lock ourselves into a corner.
Okay, great. And the last one, with regards to the financial side of the business, you know, how is the balance sheet looking? Are you comfortable that it is sufficiently funded to allow you to do what you need to do over the coming months?
Absolutely. We've got 9 million in the bank. We've got a burn rate of about $1 million a month at the moment. When we bring the diamond rig on, we expect that to go up to about 1.5 million a month. So we've got well and truly 6 months of funding ahead of us.
Fantastic. Thank you, Samuel, and thank you for your time today. Sounds like a great story. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you back soon, no doubt.
Thank you, Manny. A pleasure to talk. Cheers.